during my opening statement, I mentioned an instant message conversation and then a series of emails. The instant message conversation was between the 737 MAX chief technical pilot and a colleague. And it expresses concerns about the operation of the MCAS. Boeing knew about this instant message for months, but failed to share it with the FAA until recently. With regard to the emails, again, Mr. Faulkner, the former MAX chief technical pilot, calls for removing any mention of the MCAS flight control system from the flight crew operating manual. He talks about Jedi mind tricking of regulators with at least one person who works for the FAA. So with regard to the instant message conversation, when were you made aware of the existence of the November 2016 messages?
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, so I recall I was made aware of that message earlier this year. It was discovered as part of a document gathering process in response to a government investigation.
So it was after the crashes. You were made aware of it this year?
Sir, as I recall, I believe it was prior to the second crash earlier this year.
Was it your decision to wait months before disclosing this to the FAA?
Mr. Chairman, at that point, it had been identified as a document in response to an ongoing investigation, and I relied on our counsel to provide that to the appropriate authorities.
Okay. Well, what did the counsel tell you? Did he say, I'm going to supply it to the Justice Department, or did he say, I'm going to get it to appropriate authorities?
And Mr. Chairman, I don't recall having a specific conversation about which authorities. Just, again, as part of this investigative process, our intent to cooperate fully with the request and to provide that to the appropriate authorities. And I think over this time period this year, we provided on the order of 500,000 pages of documents in support of various requests.
Well, do you agree that this should have been provided to the FAA in retrospect?
Yeah. Senator, as I became familiar with the details of the document over the last few weeks, as I expressed our disappointment and concern with how this came to the FAA, I think you heard the same from Administrator Dixon. I called him and apologized for how this had come through the process. Again, I was involved in the document production process, but it counted on our team to make sure all the right authorities were notified.
Okay, so we should look to the team then. Can you assure the committee that Boeing has now turned over all such safety-related communications to the FAA related to the 737 MAX?
Senator, our team continues to cooperate with all requests for documentation. I'm sure that additional documents will be provided over time as they're discovered, as would be normal to the process. But we will cooperate fully with the requests.
It seems to me that a request shouldn't have to have been made with regard to that IM conversation, sir. Let me ask you, when did you become aware of the emails that I referred to in the second part of my question about Jedi mind-tricking regulators?
Senator, again, just recently I've been informed of the details of those emails and the instant message that
Can you give us an idea of how recently?
Over the last couple of weeks when it became public news.
Okay, and you did not know about it until then?
Sir, I don't recall being briefed on the details of those documents any time prior to that.
Can you see that this raises much concern about the level of coziness between Boeing personnel and FAA regulators?
And Mr. Chairman, I understand the concern there, again, we're doing our best to lean forward and provide information as part of this process. I can tell you that the comments, the values, the approaches that are described in those emails are counter to our values. That in no way would meet any expectation I would have for our team or our employees. So I understand the concern, share the concern, and just want to convey it's not consistent with our values as a company at all.
And this series of emails has only in the last few weeks come to your attention. Is that right, sir?
As Senator, as I said, I was aware of the documents that were being produced as part of an investigation. That's what I recall from earlier this year. I don't recall getting briefed on details of these documents. Those details are things that I learned of over the last few weeks.